Perfect. Yeah. So thanks everybody for joining us. Um, so just a few little bits from me before we kick off. Obviously your running tops, they were all starting to be sent out in February. We've had a slight delay with our second batch of tops that were going to be delivered to our warehouse. They're stuck in Belgium at the moment. So they are on their way, but they will hopefully be at our warehouse in the next couple of weeks. So if you haven't got your top yet, don't worry. It will be on its way to you. Like I said, it's just sort of stuck on this moment. But they will be going out first class as soon as they arrive. If you would prefer to run in one of our tops from last year, then you can just let us know and we can get you one of those sent instead. Because I know obviously we really need you guys to be training in your tops. And testing out that they all feel okay. So I completely understand, and I'm so sorry for the delay with this. Obviously, this is the last thing that we would want with your running tops. So, but if you've got any questions or any concerns at all, then just pop us an email at our marathon email address, and we can look into where your top is and either, yeah, like I said, get one of the older style tops, which is quite similar to this year's top. And you'll still look awesome on the day. And so, yeah, just drop us an email if you've got any questions at all. And I really appreciate your patience with this, and apologies again. In brighter news, the fundraising is going ridiculously well this year. So I'm really excited to let you all know that we've raised £1.15 million so far for the charity, which is just absolutely mind-blowing. And just thank you to all of you for all of the hard work that you're putting in. Like, we know how difficult it is training and fundraising at the same time. So we can see your hard work and we know how difficult it is. So thank you so much. And let's keep it going. Yeah, we're so close to hitting our target. So thank you again. But yeah, I will hand over to Nicky. If you've got any questions, pop them in the chat. And Nicky and I can try and pick them up as we go. And yeah, let me make you host, Nicky. It's great to have you. Right then, there we go. Enjoy the talk, guys.
Oh look, see, I now am host. Someone needs entering in already. Look at that.
I think it's Ian who was saying that he got kicked out last time.
I've just let him back in.
Thank God you're here.
Ian, I let you back in. Were you testing me? But,
no, the Wi-Fi in this place is horrendous. Kicks me out, and then
okay.
1 minute I'll be there, and then I'll be gone. So apologies if it does keep asking me to cut. If I do keep asking to get let back in.
That's all right. A little blue thing pops up at the top of my screen, so I'll keep letting you back in. So lovely to see so many people. I haven't got a beautiful slideshow as normal because as I think a lot of you know, I've just had surgery, so it's been a bit out the window. And I'm not going to lie, actually, Robin stole some of my time today because she's got me a nice stash of goodies of like stuff that you can't buy in the UK to kind of help with my pain relief. So I did go and meet her to get my stash of goodies. So thank you very much, Robin. This is part of the reason why this team is so cool. I got friends in high places now. So thank you. So what I kind of wanted to talk to you all about today is kind of preparing for like race day now. As like Ian was saying before, it's less than 6 weeks now, and it's a combination of being like really excited and really terrified all at the same time. And this is where people are starting to have the anxiety wobbles and the fear starts to kick in, and the oh my gosh, like I absolutely can't do this. I've only got 6 weeks and I don't have enough time, and I've been poorly and I've missed some runs, or I've been injured and I've missed some runs. So what I kind of really want to kind of put your mind at rest really with this one is 6 weeks is still a really long time in the grand scheme of things. Like you can still do so much to improve your race day in these next 6 weeks. But also I'm going to go on to talk about tapering, so the slowing down, which I want you to do from about 3 weeks. So Lots of you will have found now that your training is ramping up and you're getting these really long weeks in. And depending on whether your plan is a time-based one or a distance-based one, you're probably looking at getting a 20-mile run or a 3-hour run in your legs within the next sort of 2 to 3 weeks. And that, unless apart from those of you that have been running marathons lots and the season marathon runners, I'm talking about the beginners and the kind of the average marathon runner. So I'm not talking about like your ultra runners and your super speedies. Most of us shouldn't really try and aim to run more than 20 miles or more than 3 hours as part of our training. Because the problem is once you go past that 3-hour mark or beyond that 20 miles, your risk of injury far outweighs any training gains that you're going to get. So don't be tempted to think, oh, I've hit 20 miles, but I'm still feeling all right. Should I see if I can get to 21 or 22? It is not worth that risk. For those of you that are going to be taking kind of 5, 6, 7 hours on race day, 20 miles might not be a good idea for you as part of training, and maybe aim for a 3-hour run, maybe 3.5 hours as your longest run. And you might think, oh my gosh, I've only got to 15 miles or 16 miles. How am I ever going to know that I can run a marathon? But I promise you, on race day, the adrenaline, the crowds, the excitement of the day, and the history of all that training that you have done will get you round on race day. And you know, if I get there this year, this will be my 5th London in a row, and I've done other marathons. So I am speaking from experience. I've done it very well trained and feeling very good. And I've done it very undertrained and very injured. And you have to trust the process and just trust your body that you will get round on race day. And I've had a few people like messaging me a little bit worried that they've missed some training runs. And my advice to all of you is please don't try and catch up any training that you've missed. Okay, you can't catch up anything at all. You just need to kind of put that behind you. I don't think I know anyone ever that has done every single training on their training plan as it's prescribed. Even people that are lucky enough to get through uninjured and without any illness, usually life crops up and gets in the way, and it's not the end of the world. Okay, your training plan is just a rule book. It's a guide, not a real book. Sorry, it's just a guide. Yeah, ignore the rule book. It's not. Rip it up. And you have to listen to your body and go by that. And if the race was tomorrow, like you would all get round tomorrow on what you've done, and you might not get the time that you're aiming for, but I promise you right now you could all get round. And again, I speak from experience because in 2021 I had to walk the marathon again because of another health complication, and I walked from the very start line to the very end, and I got round in 7.5 hours, and I wasn't last, and I still got the lovely shiny medal that everyone else got, and I just about made it to the Children with Cancer after party because the cut-off time was 6 o'clock, and I made it. Everyone else had like scoffed all the fish and chips and drunk all the beer though, so do try and get there before 6 o'clock if you can, because some of them are greedy so-and-sos. So get there as soon as you can. Don't like hang out kind of at the finish line for too long if you're one of those later people in the race. Don't think Jason's on the call, he'll steal all your beer. So that's my big thing is stay positive. Like fear is totally normal, anxiety is totally normal, but just keep chatting in the group when you're having wobbles. I've seen people have like posted in the groups and I've had a rubbish week, or I'm feeling a bit down on myself. Admit somebody. Post in the group, because people in the group will understand where you're coming from. Like the outside world, non-runners, no disrespect to them, love them to bits, right? They don't understand where you're coming from. So when you're having a bit of a down day, they're like, oh, it's just a race. It is not just a race, like it's epic. And you've worked really, really hard for this, and you really deserve your success. So if you're having a wobble, post in the group. That's the right place to go. And if you don't feel comfortable posting it in our group, you can post anonymously in our group, or there's other Facebook groups online again where you can post anonymously if you want to just say, I'm having a shit day, I'm not feeling very confident, don't think I can do it. And that's fine. And you'll have a whole load of people go, yes, you can. And you need to trust them. So that's my thoughts on that. And then if we're thinking about preparing for race day, obviously Becca's already spoken to you about the tops, but while you're waiting for your top, everything else that you're thinking about wearing on race day, now is the time to practice wearing them. So I have my favorite race day shorts that I don't really wear very much in training because they cost me 50 quid and I don't want to keep washing them all the time because I'm a cheapskate and I don't want them to like lose their elasticity. So, but on these longer runs, if I were doing them, that's where I'd be wearing everything I plan on wearing race day, my shoes, my socks, my underwear, like that's what you want to practice with now. And I know some people that have like race day shoes. So like some people have some with carbon plate that they don't like to use in training because they don't have a very good shelf life. They only have a couple of 100 miles in them because they are race day shoes. But do make sure you do some runs in those race day shoes to break them in, check they're comfy, check they're not going to rub. Or even if you've bought a matching pair of shoes to your normal training shoes, running shoes, sorry, start practicing those now. You can kind of rotate through your shoes because you want to get at least 50 miles, if not 100 miles in your race day shoes before race day comes. Because even if they are an identical pair to what you wear day in, day out, you haven't broken them in, and that's when you risk getting blisters, and that can be really frustrating when you've worked so hard to then get slowed down by a blister. If you haven't started figuring out your nutrition and your hydration for the race, again, please start doing that now. You can always, if you haven't started yet, you can always rewatch the talk we did last month or the month before, but Becky would have sent the replay. But we did a whole talk about nutrition and hydration. Have another little rewatch of that if you're not sure, because again, now you've still got time to try because different things work well for different people. So you know, the things that I use that I'm happy to share, but it might not sit right with you. And like I carry a hydration vest. I know loads of people don't like doing that because they don't want to have to carry stuff. If you're planning on using what's on the course, you can go to the London Marathon's website and it tells you exactly where the water stations are, where the Lucozade and the gels are going to be. My only saying with that though, if you're relying completely on what is on course, you don't get the gels till very late in the race. And actually you want to be getting some glucose, some nutrition in after about an hour. The sooner the better, really. I always say take something on the start line and then after about an hour. But so if you're relying solely on what's on the course, it's quite late in the day to start your nutrition. So even if you're going to use what's there, you probably still need a little bit of your own in your pocket to keep you going until you get to that stage. So what have I spoken about? Mindset, nutrition, clothing. Yeah, so nothing new on race day. Becky, the expo stuff, will we talk about that on the next call?
Yeah, our next one is in April, but we can talk about it now as well.
Okay. Well, we can cover all of that, but like in terms of like picking up your race number, if you don't know already, if this is your first time, everyone has to collect the race number in person. I think if you can nominate somebody, maybe if they have to take your ID and a letter from you to prove that they can pick it up for you. But it's quite good to go down to the expo to like go and see Becky and the team. Come and listen to me talking to Women's Hour panel on the Thursday. But no, I quite like going to the expo. I like going to see people, and I try and time it when I know that other people from the charity are going to be there, because it's nice to kind of meet people before the big day if you've got sort of friendly with somebody sort of through the Facebook group or anything like that. But I'll go into that more detail. But one of the things that I really want to kind of mention here, it's really important, is the taper. So marathon tapering is when you actually get to run less, eat more, and sleep more, right? And if done correctly, tapering for the marathon can improve your marathon time by a whopping 5%, right? So if you're a 5-hour marathon runner, that's going to save you 15 minutes on race day, right? If there's any other way that you can improve your running time by 15 minutes as a 5-hour marathon runner, you would bite someone's arm off. So I'm telling you, you need to train less, eat well, sleep well. And what I can do, I haven't got a link handy, but I'll send it to Becky so she can send it out on the replay, or I'll put it in the Facebook group as well. So I've written a book about marathon training, and there's a whole chapter that I've written on tapering. And although the book's not published yet, I have got permission from the publisher to release that chapter. So I released that chapter at the London Marathon talk. So I know a few people went to the Meet the Experts day, and there was a QR code, so that was a thing there. But you guys can all have it as well. So you will have to give me your name and email address though, sorry about that. But you can download the tapering chapter from my book. And what's good about the tapering chapter, it explains what to do and why it's so important to do the different things, and also why it's slightly different for men and women as well. Because carb loading is different between men and women, and the hydration is slightly different between men and women, but it's all in there, so you can all download that. But the biggest mistake that I see with tapering, bit like I mentioned before, is people trying to squeeze in the missed training run. And actually that kind of 3-week wind down period before the race is exactly what your body needs to fully recover from the demands of training. And I've seen a lot of posts at the moment where everyone's going, I just feel shattered, my legs are heavy, I've lost my mojo. And that's because you're working really, really hard now. Right now, you're kind of building up to that peak of training, which will be, depending on your plan, either in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And then it's easy street. But you have to trust that process works. And you do have to cut back. I see sometimes people go, oh, but I'm feeling good, because you hopefully should start to feel good, especially the week before marathon. If you've tapered correctly, you should start to feel like you're feeling more energized. And people go, yeah, I'll just squeeze in one more cheeky 20-mile run. And I'm like, no, please don't, because you don't have the time to recover from another big run. Even the elites take it easy. They have it scheduled in their plan to take it easy before a big event. So do that as well. What else can I tell you about preparation the next 6 weeks? Those are the big things, really. It really is, trying all your kit, getting the nutrition right, and then tapering correctly. And the chapter in that, it's not a long chapter, by the way. You'll probably be able to read it in, I read slow, you probably have to read it in like 15-20 minutes, and it will tell you everything you need much better than I can off the top of my head, high on coding. So that would be like much better for you. But yeah, happy to open it up to Q&A about any topic, well, running related. Like if you ask me about Star Wars, I won't have the answers, but anything running related, injury, anything about race day. Oh, 2 people in the waiting room. I've been slack. There we go. I've let them in. Yeah, so if there's anything in particular you want to ask me or ask Becky, yeah, fire away.
There's a couple of questions in the chat that I can.
Oh, let me go back and have a look.
And not Star Wars related, unfortunately. So Dash said that he ran 19 miles in 4.5 hours 2 weeks ago and had extreme pain in his lower calf. No run in the last 2 weeks. Tried to run an hour yesterday and really struggled. What would you recommend? Do you squeeze in another long run or take it easy for the 6 weeks and taper down?
I would take that easy for the 6 weeks, because 4.5 hours is a long time. So your body needs to recover now. So if it's sore running for an hour, what I would say for now, if you can comfortably run for 45 minutes, do a couple of shorter runs at that 45 minutes just to keep things ticking over. Or if you've got access to, I don't know, if you've got access to a gym, you can use an exercise bike or a cross trainer or a rowing machine, something that's much lower impact, so that you can still keep things ticking over nicely, but you're giving your calves a chance to rest. Plenty of stretching, foam roller if you've got one, or a massage gun if you've got one, they can come in handy. But what I'd say is you've got it in you, you've proven it yourself, you've done 90 miles, which is awesome. You will get the other 7 on race day, I promise you. But I'd say for now, just let those calves recover so that you're good for race day.
Great, thank you. And then Sarah's asked, what would you say the peak distance to get to in training is? She knows that she's not meant to run the full distance, but did the 20 miles this weekend. Amazing. So does she need to go any further or bring it back down?
No, absolutely not.
So tempting.
I would absolutely wind it down. Now, if you've done 20 miles, that's brilliant. Have a like on your long run this week, go significantly less, go for sort of 11 or 12, have a complete deload week. And then maybe next week at 5 weeks out, you could do like a 14 miler if you wish. But you've done the 20 miles now. Now it's just to start, keep time on legs, but gradually tapering it down. So in the tapering, usually in the last 3 weeks, you'd reduce your training load to like 3 weeks out, do only 75%, 2 weeks out, only 50%. And last week, you're literally doing 25% of your average weekly mileage. So you really cut down a lot. And that's when people start to panic, they're going to lose their fitness. But you don't. This is going to make you peak on race day. And there's loads and loads of science to back this up. But yeah, people do start to worry.
Yeah, I can imagine, because it starts to feel like quite a long way away when you're not doing the like building up the miles like you're used to.
Yeah, because you're so used to working so hard, like week in, week out. And like right now, like this far in, training's really hard right now. And the problem is the excitement and the novelty of the kind of the first third of training has kind of worn off. Now you're in the kind of slog bit where you're working really hard and just feeling shattered. And the reward still feels quite a way off at 6 weeks. But it does all come together. This is the time for proper wobbles where people are just like, I'm shattered, I've had enough. But hang on in there, it will be worth it.
Definitely. Steve just asked, on race day, how early would you recommend getting to your zone before your start time?
Okay. Now, the general recommendations online is for a big event is get there an hour early, right? Speaking from the disaster that I had last year, especially if it's a nice day, get there, aim to get there extra early because you have no idea what's going to happen with public transport. So last year, I missed my bag lorry. I watched them zip the lorry up as I arrived running across because the trains from my local tube station were cancelled because there was a problem on the points. So my husband drove me to another one where the points were working, but that was slow because of the whole line had backed up. Then I got to what's it in the city that takes you to Blackfriars? London Bridge, I think. One of the main big London stations. But because there were so many people there, they weren't letting you on the platforms. They were only letting a few people up at the time to the platforms. The platforms are overloaded. So by the time I got to Blackfriars, I literally had my bag, my poncho, it's peeing with rain. I ran to the start, like missed my bag drop. So I'm there. And this is one of my paranoia dreams, right? All my marathon dreams that I have where I'm panicking, it's I've missed the bag drop or I can't find the start, which you will find the start, you can't miss it. And it came true, and I'm stood there going, please take my bag. And they're like, no, it's done. And I'm like, what do I do now? And I don't pack light. I pack like the kitchen sink. And I'm panicking and trying not to cry. And then I found an information desk, and thankfully, and this is not public knowledge, they have a backup lorry. So they took my bag, but I didn't know they had a backup lorry. I thought I was running with this wretched thing for 26.2 miles.
You see people running with their bags as well on the course.
Yeah, because they probably don't know that. I just went to the information tent because there's no, well, I would have done if I had to, but literally like my backpack probably weighed 10 kilos. Like and because it was raining, I packed spare everything because my family don't come on the course. So I had like spare trainers, spare clothes, everything. And then because I was adamant for whatever stupid reason, I wanted to go off in my wave. I think it's because I was chasing Jason. So I thought, well, I'm not, you can move back a wave, right? It wouldn't have been a problem. Once I got rid of my bag, I technically could have taken my time and gone off in a later wave. But I was racing Jason Skinner. So then I needed the toilet. So I ran to the far end of the field where I knew the toilets would be quiet, used the toilet, and literally like ran through the gate, taking my clothes off. So I probably ran a good 3 miles before the marathon started. And I had given myself what I thought was plenty of time. I'd given myself to be at the start an hour and a half before I was due to be there. But because of the public transport issues, I was late and it sucked. And then by the time I got to the Cutty Sark, which is about 6 miles in, the Children with Cancer cheer point was there. And those of you that know Karen Allen, she gives the best hugs, right? And I was just, my picture's on one of the email that goes out, and it was at that point I was just so relieved to see a smiling face and had a hug, because my morning had been so pants because I was late for the race. So my long-winded story, especially if it's dry, get there super early, right? And because you spot anyone in a Children with Cancer UK vest, they're going to stop and have a chat to you. You can get there early. You can queue up multiple times for the toilet. Get rid of your bag as soon as you can. You can get a coffee. You can have a coffee and a banana and have a chat. So if it's a dry day, I'd aim to get there 2 hours early after this year's or last year's shenanigans. If it's a wet day, it isn't nice hanging out in the rain, but get an old umbrella that you don't mind throwing away. Stick carrier bags over your shoes so your feet stay dry for as long as possible. But to be honest, the minute you're on the course, they're going to be wet anyway, but you don't want to get cold. So you can wear like an old tracksuit and put a bin bag on, or I don't know if Children with Cancer have ponchos this year.
Yeah.
So you can get a Children with Cancer poncho to keep you dry, and even get just an old crummy brolly that you don't mind putting in the charity bin for someone to have, and get there early to save any stress, because it was stressful. It was not a nice start to the day, and I'm quite a resilient person, and it threw me.
No, you basically already done the marathon before you'd even got going.
I know. And then I missed, like, Jason beat me by like I think 10 minutes. I'm like, man, I'd have beaten you if I hadn't have run 3 miles first.
Somebody else has also asked, when do they find out what zone they're in? That's normally sent to you a few weeks before the marathon. They don't really tell us when they're going to release it, but I think it's about 3 weeks before last year.
Leave it quite late.
They leave it quite late, unfortunately. They let you know what color start line you're going to be, what time your wave goes off, what station to go to, what time trains to get, all of that kind of stuff. So just sit tight and that information will come. But yeah, they do leave it a little bit. Everybody would like, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then Anna's also messaged, she got a hip injury 2 weeks ago after running 18 miles, hasn't run since. It's getting better now, so building up the miles gradually. Should she just continue with short runs and cross train and bike, or attempt to go for a long run?
I'd say continue the short runs and the cross training. So over the next kind of 2 or 3 weeks, you can kind of gradually increase those runs and see what happens. But if you start to feel pain, then just stop and head home. Don't run through any pain at this stage. This goes for any injury. If you're in pain at this stage, don't run through it because you don't want to exacerbate what is a niggle. You don't want a niggle to turn into a big injury at this stage. There's a lot that you can do that will just calm down. So I would say you can try and gradually increase those runs as long as you're pain-free. And the cross training definitely helps. Like, cycling is so good because it's low impact, but you're still working the leg muscles. Yes, slightly differently, but you're still working the cardiovascular system. So you're still going to get those benefits that will help you on race day.
Cool, thank you. Julianne's asked, how do you overcome a mental wall?
Okay, so I can see that message here now. This is a really interesting one, because the mental block, if it is purely mental, as in your brain's given up on you and telling you can't do it, but your legs and your heart are still working. The thing that gets me through it is thinking about why I signed up for this. And my little mantra that I came up with in Berlin last year, because I was running it with an injury, and it sounds a little bit harsh, so I do apologize to anyone who has children that have had cancer, but my mantra was, Nicky, there are kids out there dying with cancer, and all you have to do to help is pick up your blooming feet. It's actually effing feet. But that's what I say to myself, right? When I've had enough and I'm feeling sorry for myself, my words to myself, basically, just get over yourself, Nicky. You've got nothing to complain about. The reason why I do it is for this amazing charity. My daughter's friend sadly died of leukemia. And then that's what keeps me going. I'm like, get over yourself, Nicky. This is, yeah, your legs hurt, but that's nothing. These kids are going through hell day in, day out. And that keeps me going. I think about my why, the bigger picture of why I'm here in the first place, which is massive and what drives me on. And yours doesn't have to be that. It could be something else. It could be, I want to prove to myself I can do this. Like, don't let it be anyone else's dream. Don't think, oh, I want to do it for my family. I want to prove to an ex-boyfriend that I can run this blooming thing, right? Do it for you and think about your why. And what I'd actually say is try and think about that in advance, because when you're in that kind of low state during the race, and we will all have those points where it's a bit dark, you need to have a good reason to keep going. So try and think about that in advance. And literally in Berlin, because it was tough because I was injured, I was saying that constantly at some points. There's bits of it where I was fine. I'm like, yeah, loving this. This is awesome. When I set off on the race, I'm like, this is cool, because my daughter sent me like a Katniss gift saying, may the odds be ever in your favor, because we're massive Hunger Games fans in this house. So I set off feeling wonderful. But about halfway, I was feeling pretty miserable. And that's when the mantra kicks in. And then you get to the end and it's awesome. So yeah, really hold on to your why, but do think in advance, because you don't think straight when you're in that dark space. Not that running a marathon is miserable or anything. Like, totally not. Totally not. It's like a really special, really, really special thing. It's why I keep coming back for more.
And then there's the message from Karina. She's never done a marathon before, but done 4 halves. How does she work out her ideal pace? She read that you should start at a slower pace.
Yeah. So often with people trying to calculate what their kind of marathon time should be, they often say, if you know what your half is, you kind of double it and add half an hour. And that's what hopefully your marathon time might be. And then when you know what that is, you can use a little calculation to figure out what your, depending on how you work out your miles per minute or kilometers per minute. And then I'd say always kind of, I run on kind of miles per minute, add on 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes for the first part of the marathon, because you actually want your second half to be faster. So the first half, you want to be really, really slow. You ideally want to get halfway and feel great. Okay, this is why like the wall and the mental challenges tend to set in about 18 to 20 miles. You want to aim to feel good by 13 miles and feel like you could just keep going all day. So start, what I would say, think of it being as embarrassingly slow. Because if you get to like 21, 22 miles and you've got loads of energy left, you can pick up the pace for the last few miles and smash it. But if you've burnt yourself out in that first half, there's nothing more miserable than just dragging yourself around the end. So do your half marathon time, double it, add half an hour, work out the miles per minute, and then add on a good 90 seconds to 2 minutes and run your first kind of 5 miles at that pace. And it should feel easy, really super easy. And don't worry about people going past you, because everyone just needs to run their own race. So stay focused on what you plan to do. And I've seen some in the group, actually, some people have got these like little like temporary tattoos with like the miles or the kilometers and the timing, because that's quite handy, because it's very easy to get caught up in the excitement of race day and get off too quick, especially because the adrenaline's going and they have like music and they have crowds. They go, yeah, go for it. And it is really exciting. So actually run slower and enjoy it a bit more. Milk it.
Yes, take it all in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ian,
you've got your hand up.
Nicky, I remember you mentioned that you potentially pack the kitchen sink for, I think, what you said. What sort of stuff do you pack in your bag, just out of interest? Just so I can gauge a rough idea, so I can...
Oh, do you know what? I actually have a PDF. I'll put that in the group. So I am really bad. I pack spare everything, but I have my... Oh, I wonder if I can pull it up quick. Hold on, let me see if I can quickly pull it up. I should know where to find this because I share this a lot. Marathon.
I was going to say, if you can't, is it possible you could possibly ping it across to Becky, and Becky could ping it out on an email, maybe?
Yeah, actually, I've got it here. I will put it in the group. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, gosh. what happens when you had a few weeks off work? You like forget how to use Zoom. Screen share.
I deal with it on a daily basis, so I know how it feels.
Yeah,
I still don't know how to use Zoom, so
here we go.
More of a Teams fan, Becky, to be honest. Oh,
right. So this is my marathon kit list. Big thing. Do not forget your race bib. Right. If you don't have your number, they're not even letting you into the start area, let alone starting the race. So I've listed it here, what I would think of as your essentials, the bare minimum. And this is obviously your running kit, what you're wearing. So hopefully you're not going to forget that. Your race bib and any essential medication. So those of you who are asthmatic, please don't forget your inhalers and things like that. One thing to note though, when I say medication, lots of people before sports of all sports will take anti-inflammatories. They'll take ibuprofen. Please don't take ibuprofen before the marathon. It can affect kidney function and it can cause all sorts of problems. So if you've got any pain or any niggles, paracetamol is fine, it's safe, but actually it's quite dangerous to take ibuprofen before sport. And I know loads of people that do it before all types of sport, especially like contact sports like rugby and things like that. People seem to pop ibuprofen all the time, but there's quite a lot of research to show it's actually really dangerous and can cause real issues with kidneys. So if you have got niggles, you need to take some pain relief. Paracetamol is safe. Freeze spray, deep heat, all that sort of jazz, safe, but do stay off the ibuprofen on race day. Then I have my extra essentials that I wouldn't go without. So I personally wouldn't go without my running watch. Please don't forget your lube. Ask Warren what happened last year. If anyone wants to know how bad this can get, he's got a really graphic picture of what happened when it rained and his shorts rubbed. It wasn't pretty. Try not to forget your nutrition. I know people have forgotten these before. The year I walked, I actually gave away all my gels to someone because I thought, well, I'm only going for a walk. Yeah, that bit me on the backside. So even if you think, well, don't worry, I'm going to Jeff it, I don't need much nutrition. You do. You're out there for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. You need your nutrition. If it's hot, and we do sometimes get hot years, sunscreen. You know, even if you're speedy, if you think, well, I'm going for 3 hours, I'm not going to be out there very long. That's a long time with exposure to the sun. So no matter how fast or slow you are, if we've got even a mildly warm day, please do put your sunscreen on. Then I've got the not so essentials, but things that people pack. So your sunglasses, your hat, your hydration vest. Tissues and hand sanitizers are nice because the porta potties aren't always nice. Lip balm, you'd be surprised at how much like your lips can get sore if you're out there. Like I said, I do pack the kitchen sink. If you're out there for 4, 5, 6 hours, I generally take paracetamol with me. Nipple guards or blisters, blister plasters if you know you're a bit prone. Ladies, if your hair is going to annoy you, hairband. I even take spares. Some worried one's going to snap. Like I said, I do take too much. Cash or a credit card, you can tap most things on your phone, but if you are going through a London train station and you need to pee, quite often they will just open up all the barriers and let people use the toilets. Some of the smaller stations still want to charge you like 50p or whatever. So it's worth having a few coins that you can pee. Or if you want to sneak into like a coffee shop and use their toilets, again, most of them want you to buy a coffee. So sometimes some cash or a card is handy. Headphones if you want them. London Marathon will let you wear sort of bone conducting headphones. They don't really like you wearing the in-ear ones. A lot of UK races will disqualify you, but I see loads of people on the race with the big thingy ones. I've never seen anybody disqualified, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. If you've got an old crummy phone like me, you might need a power bank for your phone, especially if you're going to be out there a long time. Garbage bag. I'm so American in that one, aren't I? Garbage bag. What a numpty. Bin liner. This is my work, by the way. I did write this, but I have a lot of American friends. So yeah, a bin bag or something to keep dry. It's nice to have something to sit on the floor. So even if you think, oh, it's raining, I'm going to wear my poncho, it is also nice to have something to put on the floor to sit down if you're going to be there a little while. And if it's cold, and again, we never know with the London Marathon what's going to happen with the weather. If it's cold, just a hat and gloves, even if they're like, you know, something you've picked up somewhere that you want to dispose of as you go to the start line, just keeping yourself really, really warm before you start is handy. And then this is those paste tattoos, which I think I've seen a few people put in the group. And then the other kind of random items are really nice to get some warm clothes to wear while you're waiting for the start. So if you're having a clear out and giving everything to the charity shop, do hang on to an old pair of trousers and a jumper to keep you warm, or an old raincoat. You know, the charity shop can do all right, and you can give it to the charity at the London Marathon, because it all gets collected up and it all gets used, so it doesn't go to waste. A pre-race snack is really handy, because if you get there nice and early, unlike me last year, it's nice to have something to eat, like a banana or something like that. It's really easy to digest, so you're nicely fueled before you start. Clothes for after the race. So if you've got family and friends coming, you can get them to bring it for you. But it is nice to have a change of clothes. Yeah, you're going to get your race t-shirt if you haven't opted out. But it's nice to have some clean things to put on, and especially if like it's raining, like last year we had all weathers. So it's nice to have some dry clothes. Post-race snacks, so getting in your post-race nutrition really quick. We talked about that on the call as well. Children with Cancer are very kind, and they provide the perfect post-race food of fish and chips, which is awesome. But if you're hanging around speaking to people, you do want to get some nutrition in quite quick. So it's handy in the bag that London Marathon give you. They give you a big plastic bag to put your stuff in. Just chuck a protein bar in there, or a protein shake. That's really handy to help get you back over afterwards. And then I put in some baby wipes and a bit of deodorant, shower in a can, and some comfy shoes, because although your trainers might be the most comfortable thing that you normally wear, after 6, 7, 8 hours running in them, you probably just want to kick them off and you're never going to get them back on again. So a lot of people will wear like sliders and things like that afterwards. So what I would say of this list, I'll put it in the group, is actually print it out. And I would say the week before, double check you have all this. So a lot of this I have just stashed in a drawer anyway, but I still always double check, because if you check on Saturday night at 6 or 7 o'clock and think, oh crap, I haven't got safety pins or haven't got any sunscreen, you might be able to nip out to a 24-hour Tesco, but some of these things you might not be able to get and it's too late. Whereas if you check the week before, you've got time to get to a shop, you've got time for Amazon to deliver. You don't want something simple like this that you can prevent to spoil your day. So yeah, so I will put that in the groups. That was a really, really good question, because it just comes in handy to have that list. And even though like I wrote the list, I still forget things. So I still do actually print it off, and I actually physically tick it. And I still then have another look on the Sunday morning, go, am I sure I got it?
So when you're
I end up,
holiday,
I end up packing
passport.
spares in case someone forgets. I'm like, oh yeah, just chuck in a few extra gels just in case someone forgets.
Amazing. Vanessa said that she's on naproxen for frozen shoulders. Should she not take that if you say about anti-inflammatories?
This is the pros and cons, because you want to obviously fix that frozen shoulder, because that frozen shoulders are really painful. I would say on your long run days, don't take it before you. Also, my family just come home. The dog's going mad, so excuse the noise. On your long run days, if you can take the naproxen after you've exercised, that would be good. And if you're still taking it on marathon day, don't take it in the morning before the race. Take paracetamol to try and help with your pain, and then take the naproxen after the race. It's just because of the processing through the kidneys when you're doing these longer runs. If you're going out for 5k or 10k, you're fine. It's just when you're going for longer.
I have been using it. I've got up to 15 miles, and I have been taking it because I have it twice a day. So I have been taking,
because often morning and night, isn't it, the naproxen?
Yeah, I take it after my breakfast with my breakfast, because I need to take it with food, and then I take it on an evening with my evening meal. But you worried me when you said that, or a bit like, oh, because I have been running with it. I'm hoping I've had the steroid jabs in my arms before the marathon. I will be pain free, but
oh bless you.
I don't know yet.
Oh well, I hope they give them to you quick, because frozen shoulders are really not, as you know, they're really not nice. But what I'd say is maybe on your long run days, if you can maybe if you do run in the morning, Vanessa.
Yes, I do. I much prefer the morning. Yeah.
So maybe if you have your breakfast and have your run, and then take your breakfast naproxen with your post-run snack.
Okay. I'll
so
try that.
when you're getting that nutrition on board afterwards, take it then.
Okay.
You've still got that window before the evening dose then.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
And Tori's asked, what are your top tips for treating and preventing blisters? Should they pop
Lube.
them?
Lots of lubricant. There's pros and cons of popping them. Like if you're doing like a multi-stage event, they do pop them and bandage them and things like that to get all the fluid out. But if you're repeatedly getting blisters in the same place, now's the time to try something different, like different pair of socks, because sometimes like, you might have the perfect running shoe, but socks choice is just as crucial as shoe choice. So maybe try a different sock. But Vaseline, like you can spend a fortune on lots of these fancy brands on lubricant, right? But Vaseline does the job really well too. It's a bit greasier. That's the problem with the Vaseline. You feel like you're slipping a little bit. But literally, with my kind of lubricant, I literally go in between all the toes, like the sole of my foot, because even though I found the year I walked, it was actually the sole of my foot, like the ball of the foot that got blisters. Put it everywhere. And I found that makes a massive difference. Be very, very generous with it. If you're getting blisters between your toes, so I know some people that have got like problems with their toes where toes start to overlap. And sometimes, you know, those like toe socks that are like gloves that like separate all the toes. Some people find those work really well. So if you're getting blisters between your toes because you've got a little bit of compression, that's a nice one to try. But lubricant is the best thing ever.
And then we've got a couple of questions about the water and gels on the course. So Sally's asked, is it all right to just rely on the water stations, or should they be carrying their own water?
There's loads of water. There's never, well, apart from a few years ago, they did run out, but it's never happened since, right? But there is water really, really frequently. So some people will run with like a belt, so you can actually carry a little water bottle so you can sip more regularly. But if you don't want to carry anything, there is plenty of water stations on the course, and you're absolutely fine. You don't have to carry water. It's just the Lucozade drink and the gel comes very, very late in the race, and so you kind of lost all your glycogen stores before you actually get that. So you can absolutely rely on London Marathon to provide the water for you, but I would recommend you carry some of your own nutrition. Even if you buy some of the Lucozade gels because that's what you like and you want to use theirs as well, absolutely grab what they're offering. But take some of your own so you can start earlier in the race.
With the water stations, do they have cups or bottles?
Bottles.
Okay, so you could potentially.
I think it was bottles with flip lids last year. I think they flipped them open for you, but I think they did flip lids so that you could actually keep hold of it, because they were trying to encourage everybody to buy a water belt to try and encourage you, because otherwise people would take a mouthful and just ditch it.
Yeah.
So they did flip lids so that you could close the lid and keep it for longer.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing the same this year. I don't know if I've got. I did have a leaflet from the thingy bob the other day, but I think it might have been turned into a paper aeroplane.
You could potentially put an effervescent in one of their bottles.
Yeah. So you could like just carry some of those little effervescent electrolyte things and just pop it in one of those.
Yeah.
And I've done that with Tailwind before. I've looked like a drug dealer with because you can buy, I don't know if you know, but some of you might know, you can buy Tailwind in like
sachets,
that are like a portion size. Well, I was being a cheapskate and I bought the massive bag and I portioned it into little Ziploc baggies. I looked like I was carrying around loads of bags of cocaine. And then, Devin will know this. It was the year I was the Belle. I was like inside the Belle costume and I'm trying to decant out of like these little Ziploc baggies into the water bottle, this like white powder. So if you don't want to carry, if you like the liquid electrolytes, carry the little tablets, but just bear in mind, right, you're gonna sweat, so put them in something that's waterproof, so like a Ziploc bag, or if it comes in like a plastic tube, because if you just stick them loose in your pocket, they're just gonna foam up in your pocket and it's not gonna be very nice.
Do you have any sock recommendations?
There's lots of good ones. I use what do I use? A mixture of They're called twin socks. Is it Ron Hill that makes them? My socks are like a double layer. They're a bit like the Doc Martens, like double Doc socks when you break in your Doc Marten boots, when anyone wears Doc Martens. But they're like a twin layer sock. You want to go for something that's got as few seams as possible. Anything that's got a seam brings up the potential for rubbing. Other people might have lots of sock recommendations actually, because there'll be loads that are good. So if anybody else has some sock ones, I haven't run for 6 weeks because I've had surgery, so I can't even remember like people's names. I tried to tag some people in a Instagram post the other day. It was like a International Women's Day thing. It was my hockey team, right? Been playing with these ladies for years, and do you think I could remember their name, like their proper Facebook name or Instagram name, that not just their nickname? No. So I can't even remember my brand of socks. Is it Hilly that do the twin socks? Ron Hill or Hilly? One of those. I promise I am intelligent at times. I do know what I'm talking about.
Robin's put some in the chat. Belega features or Zensa.
Yeah. Oh, and I also wear monkey socks. That's another one. Monkey socks with an X. They do really nice socks. And they do compression ones as well, and they're like funky colors. And so, some of their, like, I think 20% of their profits or 10% goes to MS Society, which is quite nice. Actually, who's it? Mark, did you order a load of socks? Versus socks. Is Mark on the call?
Yes, yeah, I've ordered some Versus socks. They told me today they are in packaging, so they should be shipped in the next few days.
Cool. So if you've got some funky children with cancer socks, stuff the blisters, use the lube, and wear the funky socks.
Great message.
Just throw to the trade. I bought some of those socks. I was late on the training tops. I missed out on Jodine's tops because I was rubbish with my disorganization. So when Mark said about the socks, I messaged him. I'm like, don't let me forget.
I know so many people I think miss out on the tops as well.
And Jodine did message me lots. So I just rubbish. Sorry.
Ian has got his hand up.
Nicky, when I know you mentioned headphones. I know I can see you've got AirPods. Is it AirPods or is it? Or
these
whatever?
are AirPods, yeah.
I was going to say, are the London? I've got something similar to AirPods. How stringent are the London Marathon with regarding them?
They're not strict. And if someone says, "Oh, you're not supposed to wear," they go, "Oh yeah, sorry, mate," and put them in your pocket.
Let me grab them a second. Yeah. See if I can dig them out.
From what I understand, they only want the bone conducting when it's not closed roads. Where London's a closed road, so you should be fine.
So it's there we go.
Yeah.
These ones.
I see people wearing the big over ear ones, and no one says anything because I think, like Mark was saying, it's a closed road race. No one's going to run you over. They do often say only bone conductors. It's still on quite a lot of the closed roads because they're like, you need to hear the marshals or whatever. But I've never seen anyone get told off at the marathon.
I've never heard of anybody getting told off.
No, and if someone says anything, you just go, "Oh yeah, my bad," and put them in your pocket, run on for 10 minutes, and put back in.
Whatever
no one promote that. No one promote. Nicky said I can wear them. The London Marathon won't have me back ever again. Like some expert you are, you're like breaking our rules.
I was going to say, Nicky, whatever you said there, apologies, it connected to them actually. So don't mind repeating that, dear.
Okay, I'll repeat it. I said, yeah, I see people wearing like these pod type ones and over ear ones. I think the rules say no, but I've never seen anyone get told off. I've never heard of anyone ever being disqualified. So I'd say go for it. If anyone tells you off, just put your hand up. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, and just take them out. Carry on for a bit.
Yeah, no worries. Lovely, perfect.
Yeah. Like I said, I've never seen anyone get in any trouble or heard of anyone in any groups. And I'm in quite a few Facebook groups, so
somebody would say along the way, and I've never heard anything like that. So
yeah,
lovely.
It's just something they say, just to. But yeah.
I don't know if we've answered this one, Karina. The gels on the course are Lucozade. Oh, Paul, could you pass me that Lucozade gel so I can show people what's on the course? They're in the tub on the side there. I got a load of freebies at the Meet the Expert Day. So this is what's this is what's on the course on race day.
Oh God.
Can you see that? Does it show as blurry? Is that right to you?
Yeah, thanks, Nicky.
No worries. Dual fuel. So 30 grams. So your body can absorb, depending on how hard you're working, up to 60 grams per hour. So that would be like 2 of these per hour, but that's if you're running fast. None of us, I shouldn't say none of us. Some of you actually, I do know, are running really fast. The average marathon runner, 1 an hour is fine. But if your stomach's happy and you can get in 1.5 or 2, that's fab. So, but like I say, these are very late on in the race. Too late for most of us. Well, too late for anyone actually. You should be taking on fuel as early as possible.
So, any gels you'd recommend, Nicky? Apart from the ones that you got.
Do you know what? It is really individual because it's what your stomach agrees with. So, and mine's changed over the years. When I first started running, I always used Science in Sport, and I don't know if they changed the recipe or what, but then it didn't agree with me. The high five ones are quite nice. The best one I ever found was actually a Decathlon own brand one, which was really concentrated, so you didn't have to take in as much. There's a lot of glucose in a small amount, but they don't seem to do it anymore. So personally, I use Tailwind in a hydration vest because I like to have my drink with me, because otherwise I end up downing it at the aid stations and needing to wee all the time. But if I have it in my hydration vest, I sip it, and that has electrolytes and caffeine in. And then I have chews. Velo Forte do these little chews, so I have that as my combination, because I find these personally, for me at the moment, my stomach doesn't seem to like the gels too much. I might take 1 or 2, but I actually have a mixture, so trial and error really. I know that's not really helpful, but there isn't a set one because everybody's digestive system is different. So have a little play around now. So if you want to like use what's on the course, see if you can find something. These are probably everywhere actually. You can probably even get these in the supermarket.
I was going to say, I've got I know I've got well, I think I have sat behind my TV, and I've got some gels here in my room somewhere. I just need to dig them out, but yeah, I just need to dig them out and see what they are. I think they're the Science and Sport ones.
Yeah.
I was also going to ask Science and Sport hydration tablets. Would you recommend or not?
I think hydration tablets are great because they have all the electrolytes in. Your body's better at absorbing an electrolyte drink than plain water, because I'll go back to my A-level science. There's a concentration gradient of water going across, and actually we absorb fluid better if there is some sodium in it, which is where the salts come in, and also you're sweating out salt. So you want water will go from where it's kind of high to low concentration. So yeah, you're better off having it. So if you do like the hydration tablets, like I can't remember who it was that said it before, like if you don't want to carry your own fluid, just take a couple of the little tablets. You can take the water on the course, and just drop it into that. So you don't have to worry about actually carrying stuff, but you can, like, part way round, mix yourself up a little electrolyte drink. That's a handy way of doing it. So I can't remember who said that, but that's a good little tip.
Lovely.
Would that also apply? I'm not sure what the difference is. Would that also apply to the Tailwind? Tori's asked, would you make up a really concentrated mixture of the Tailwind and then add water from the stations, or would you carry it in your water?
So how would you? Okay. So there's different ways that you can do it, Tori. Like, so if you don't want to carry a hydration vest, because Tailwind you can mix up in big volumes. So if you don't want to carry a vest, if you want to take it with you, you can either do what I did and look like a drug dealer and put it in little individual bags, or you could make a really concentrated solution and have one small bottle, like super concentrated. And when you go past the aid stations, you could take a swig out of that bottle and then a couple of mouthfuls out of the plain water. So rather than trying to decant it and get in a mess, you could have if you can stomach the taste, which Tailwind's quite neutral actually. If you can have a super concentrated one, you could take, a mouthful of that and a mouthful of normal water, and you're basically diluting it within your system. So that's good way, and it saves then the faff. And what you could do is you could maybe, if you've got family or friends on the course, you could have one concentrated bottle on you. They could also have one. And then when you go past, if you're fortunate enough to actually see them, you could take a fresh one off them. So that might be more efficient, especially if you're trying to get around quickly and efficiently as possible. If you're aiming for a quick time, you don't want to stop and mess about if you're a speedy one. So that's quite a nice way to do it. Yeah, one of that.
Great. And then Karina's just asked, can you do a marathon without any of the gels and all of that kind of stuff if you're finding that nothing is agreeing with you?
Yeah, I can't find any. You technically you can, but it's really hard. If you don't like any of the hydration stuff, like as in the capsules, whatever, is make sure you're getting enough nutrition. So getting it that way. So if you don't like any of the gels or chews or blocks, anything like that, you can eat real food. Jelly babies, if you can stomach some jelly babies. Peanut M&Ms work quite well for me. Percy pigs are another popular favorite. But if you're out there for a long time, even if you're a fast runner, so if you don't like any of the kind of sports products, have a try with some real food, and plain water, and see if that works.
Yeah, Nikki, I'm getting on really well with the gels, but it's just the hydration or the sodium tablets that I just can't find one that work. And yeah, it's just that bit. But yeah, gels is fine. I mean, I use cis gels and it's perfect. It's just the hydration tablets. Yeah, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, I don't like the salt tablets either. They don't agree with me. But what I would say, a lot of the gels will have other bits in them. So, for example, I'm just reading this one here because it's the one I've got in my hand. I'm getting old, I have to look. This has got some salt in it as well. So this has got your glucose in it. It's got your carbs, but this actually has a bit of salt in it as well. So I would say if you can't take in any other type of electrolyte, start these early, little and often, and make sure you just drink little bits on the aid stations if your tummy's kind of not agreeing with things, rather than kind of think, oh, I'll drink this bottle. Just little and often with a sip. So maybe grab a bottle at an aid station and run with it and sip it little bits at a time, because lots of these gels are actually quite concentrated and actually do need the water to water them down to absorb them better. And quite a lot of them do say on the packet, ideally combine this with some water. So yeah, start your gels early, and the Science and Sport ones probably do have some salts and some potassium in them actually, if you have a little look.
I was going to say, give me a second. I might actually have some behind my TV. I'll have a look and see what they've got. Give me a second.
Okay, no worries. So yeah, Robin said here, many drinks have artificial sweeteners. Yeah, they do, and that can cause like upset tummy. And another random thing to sometimes try, again, if those things don't agree with you, is actually like squash. And I know that sounds really daft, but again, just having a bit of sugar in the water, even if you have like a really diluted like squash, so maybe just stick some very diluted orange squash in your water bottle next time you go for a little run, and see if that's any better. Because I think like sometimes I think these companies have overcomplicated it, because it's a $1 trillion market. They make a lot of money out of us runners by selling us these crazy things for stupid money. And yes, it does help, but real food's good too. Have you got one, Ian? Has it got some salt or anything in it?
So it's got sodium. It's got sodium.
Yes, sodium salt. Yeah.
Yeah, sodium in it. Sweeteners, sodium chloride, all that good stuff. What else they got? That is sweeteners. We've designed the world to clean in the mouth. Easy to digest. Yeah, I'll decide that after taking God knows how many during the race.
Yeah. But have a little trial and error. And like I say, lots of them will probably have some salt and things in. So the good thing is though, Karina, is you're getting in the glucose, and that's the thing that limits people, because you run out of energy stores, you're not getting the muscle contractions, and that's where it gets really, really hard. at the end of the day, we could probably all do a marathon with no fluid and no nutrition, but our body will not thank us for it. We want to get round in the best condition possible, so we have some energy to party at the end.
Excellent. Thanks, Nicky. That's really helpful. Yeah, helpful.
You're welcome.
I was going to say as well, Karina, I'm just reading on the front here, the science and sport ones are low sugar as well. So there's not there. Yeah. So look at that. I get the impression they are good for us.
Low sugar. You don't want low sugar on race day. You want high sugar. That's the whole point. This is the day that you can eat all the sugar in the world. You can have a nice sugary breakfast, shove an extra spoonful of sugar in your coffee, have cake for breakfast. No, don't do that if you don't normally do that. Nothing new on race day. But this is a day where you can eat whatever you like. Yeah. Someone messaged me about the Lucozade, 0 sugar. I'm like, well, what's the point?
I was going to say maybe I might have picked up the wrong ones here because these ain't got what's the serving amount? They've got 22 grams of carbs, which have 0.6 is sugar.
No, don't go. No, go and buy some new ones.
They've got 0.01 grams of salt.
No, you want it to sugar.
Might need to go back and get some different ones then.
Yeah. Yeah. Your body turns carbs into sugar, but you want it to be really the whole idea of this, it needs to be super easy to digest so your body can use it in the fastest time possible. So yeah, so if anyone's going shopping, don't be buying Lucozade 0 sugar or anything like that. Yeah, buy the full fat versions of everything. Yeah. Cool.
Awesome.
Right. I think I've got all of the questions now, haven't I?
Yeah, I think we've caught all of the questions. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this evening, and for asking all the questions. If you have any other questions, then just drop us an email, or like Nicky said, just pop something on the Facebook group. We're always here to help. So I really, really, really appreciate you joining us this evening. I will stop recording.
Yeah.
Once I've
and I will put the marathon, the link to the marathon taper chapter of my book into the group, and I'll give it to you, Becky, so you can send it out with the replay for those that aren't in the group. And that marathon checklist that I've created, I'll pop that in the group as well, so you can have that to make sure that you don't forget anything.
It's all because you're doing it for that charity.
That's awesome. Thank you, Nicky. Thank you.
No problem.
Recording. Right then. Thanks, everyone.